We're continuing our series in professional profiles, meeting the people behind their businesses. Today, joining me in the studio is Chris Fox from Fox Estate Agents. Chris, thank you very much for joining us.
Okay.
Welcome. Now, give me an idea, first of all, how long you've been in the property marketing business?
Nearly 40 years now.
40 years?
Yeah, a long time.
Right, okay. What drew you into that? What attracted you?
Well, I've always liked people and property, but I actually entered the business by accident, really.
Right, okay. Tell me more.
Well, I left school, didn't really know what I was going to do. Took a job in the city, near Cannon Street Railway Station. I was there for a few months, got a little bit bored, went into an employment agency, and the rest is history.
Okay, so I'm trying to picture you here, in the city. Maybe you had the kind of black and white stripy suit, the bowler hat, the umbrella.
No, not so much actually. It was the late 70s, and no, that wasn't the look.
Okay, so we're thinking more flares.
Flares and mullet, possibly, yeah.
Okay, and yeah, proper good long hair. Okay, now.
And it was dark then.
It was dark. Okay. Oh, really? Yes. Okay. Now I won't make any kind of silver. Silver fox ideas. Yeah. Now, within the idea of then deciding to go into property marketing, was it then suggested to you when you went into the kind of recruitment office that would be a good idea, or was it just something that occurred to you?
A bit of both, really. I mean, it was Sloane Square. It was the late 70s. It was punk rock, and it really was the place to be. Right. The company I worked for was called William Willett. They're no longer with us, and they've disappeared. It was a long time ago. But it was a great office, 7 Lower Sloane Street in Sloane Square. And
were you selling properties there, in the city itself, or just in that kind of, what kind of areas did you deal with? What kind of properties?
I was in the commercial department, and I was dealing with shops and offices and warehousing on the King's Road, Chelsea, Kensington, etc. Wow. That's where I started.
So a lovely part of London. I mean, back though in the 70s, was the King's Road and Chelsea still as kind of trendy as it is now?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example. I bought a pair of shoes, and the guy standing next to me was Phil Lynott at Thin Lizzy.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, it's always been.
It's always been attracting that kind of, it's almost got a bohemian feel in places, still with that kind of, class.
And essence. There's such varied property and lots of money, international clients, etc. Yeah.
So in those early days, you used to talk about the gent there from Thin Lizzy. Did you ever meet or sell property or show someone round who was a bit of a star in those days?
Yes, I did, but I can't really sort of talk about that.
Okay. Under the Official Secrets Act still?
No, not exactly. But my main job, I was in the commercial department. I was a sort of a young lad then, just sort of learning the ropes, really, assisting the other guys. We had a little office with 6 people in, and we looked at over a rose garden, actually, in sort of Sloane Square. It was a really nice setting to start learning the ropes.
And how long were you there for?
Approximately 2 years, and then I decided that I wanted to get into the residential side of the market. I could have stayed there, but I actually wanted to work closer to home, having done a couple of years in town. So that was what I did.
And where was home, or where is home?
Yeah, the same place, Bexley Heath.
Bexley Heath, I know it very well. My family originate in that particular area of London. Yeah,
okay.
Very nice.
Well, it's South East London, Kent borders. And that's where I was sort of born and bred, and that's now where I do most of my business. Okay.
And in a sense, you wanted to move back there. What was the link then? Because obviously, more recently you kind of set out on your own, but before that, after leaving Sloane Square, after 2 years, there must have been some kind of bridging work there.
I wanted to get into residential, and I wanted to get local, and I wanted to get more real, because some of the properties and the people I were dealing with were sort of from a different planet almost, know. So I wanted to get local and deal with my kind of people, and I wanted to help the local community.
How's the property market changed since when you first started?
Wow, well, no photocopiers, details without photos, things like that. The vendors used to make their own appointments. We weren't that busy until the adverts came out in the local papers, and the phones would sort of ring off the hook, that type of thing. Saturdays was half day, no Sunday trading, things like that. Now it really is 24/7.
Do you look back with rose-tinted spectacles at those times, or do Do you prefer this kind of 24/7 culture that we've moved into that affects business and life?
It's evolution, really, and what I've always tried to do is deliver what the customer wants and move with the times.
So, have you fully embraced now online marketing as part of what you do? Do you think that's important?
I'm a bit of a technophobe, being totally honest,
Right.
but we do use all the property portals, we do all the right things, and I've got people behind me that assist, but that's not really my speciality.
Okay. Do you think there is a certain je ne sais quoi that a property agent needs in order to effectively sell a property?
It's a difficult question, but what I do, I have a passion, and when I'm working for somebody, I want to get the job done right and with the best possible outcome for my client.
Okay, so in a sense, it comes down to that intent. It comes down to that desire to
It's
want
a
to
very
achieve.
competitive market, and people are entrusting you with the sale. The stakes are high. One mistake can be very costly for clients. So we like to get it right and remain focused at all times.
Now, London, of course, has this huge bubble when it comes to housing. Many people
Yep.
would say it's incredibly unrealistic, that not sustainable, that it's unfair, maybe for certain people because of the pricing structure. Is that the case where you're dealing with in kind of the southeast? Because traditionally, I think the southeast has been a slightly cheaper area, isn't it? Because you haven't necessarily got all the tube links going out that way.
That's true, but of course that is changing now with Crossrail and everything else that's been going on.
Okay.
I mean, when you look at North London, West London, East London, it's always been more expensive than my part of the world, South East London, North West Kent, that kind of area. But I think it is changing, and I think we've got a very good property market where I'm trading at the moment.
Are there still bargains to be had in and around South East London? Or is that not a word you can really use in London anymore?
No, I mean, bargains I think are few and far between. I mean, you could go to a property auction and you might pick something up that's quite interesting, but no bargains, I don't think so.
Outside of work, who is Chris Fox?
I'm just a normal sort of guy. I like the normal sort of things, travel, food, football. Very big on football.
Are you? Can I
Yeah.
ask who you follow?
My team is Manchester United.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I thought you could go for Charlton or something
No,
like that,
no.
being a South East London boy.
No, my father was from Wilmslow, which is near Manchester, and I followed his team.
Right.
Having said that, I was a season ticket holder at Charlton for 8 years.
Oh, were you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I used to take my daughter there, but now I go to Dartford, which is my local team, and I actually sponsor Dartford Football Club in a small way.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. And what league are Dartford at the moment now? Interesting.
Vanamara South.
Vanamara South.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm lost at that point, but
Yeah, it's a good league. Average attendance about 1,000 people, and the motto there is "Real football, real close," and that's a true perspective of how it is.
the all-important question though: do they have good pies?
Yes, and they
Right.
won last week 6-1, so it was well worth going.
Fantastic. Good plug. Okay. Okay. So, football, travel,
Yeah.
all this. You've obviously already lived quite a rich life.
I don't know about that.
What are your goals now? I mean, are you first of all, let me ask you, are you someone that sets yourself resolutions every New Year's and kind of wildly works towards them,
No, not
No.
really, but I've always got the eye on the prize.
Okay. And what's the prize for you then? Am I allowed to ask that?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what it is. I'm building my company up, and one day I would like to leave it to somebody, and that could well be my new grandson. So that's the sort of plan, and that's a driving factor in my business.
A noble thing to want to do.
Well,
Yeah. How old's your grandson?
just over a year.
So you haven't discussed this yet with him?
No, far
No.
too soon. But my daughter knows about it, so yeah.
Which is great, and some big shoes for him to fill eventually.
Well, we'll
That's
see.
That's really good. That's really good. Okay, and in a sense of being able to want to pass that over in a kind of short term, in the next kind of year to 2 years, have you set yourself targets for growth or expectation? Do you do it by number of properties sold? Do you do it by number of clients attracted onto the books? Do you do it by profit margin? How do you do it out of interest?
Well, we have been very successful. In the last 15 months, I've probably doubled my own expectations, and the business is going forward. So we just have to wait and see. Once I've got this office up and running, nicely profitable, I will be expanding. I've got my eye on a few sort of locations, but I'm going to open them when I've completely got what I want where I am currently.
Okay, so will that still be within South East London? Will you be then expanding out across the whole of London or further down into Kent?
Global domination.
Oh, I like this.
No.
Donald Trump, watch out.
No, we shall see. I think I'll focus on what I know, which is London Borough of Bexley, Dartford and surrounding areas, but maybe creep further into London. We shall see.
How about going further out into Kent? Does that not attract you? Is it a more difficult market? Because I suppose from there you'd be moving out towards Rochester and down further that way, wouldn't you?
Well, I do go down to Rochester and the Medway towns, and I've been filmed quite a lot recently for Homes Under the Hammer.
Oh, right.
And most of the properties do seem to be in that area, so it is an area that I'm being sort of drawn to, shall we say. But I haven't got plans to go that way at this stage.
Okay. I know for a fact there are quite a few bargains in that kind of area. It's still, you can still get a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, an interesting statistic, in the early 80s, a property there was probably a third of what it would be in the London Borough of Bexley, but now it would be at least 2/3. So whilst Bexley prices have gone up, the Medway has gone up still further.
Yeah, people want that accessibility of being able to commute into London, don't they? But it being a little bit further away, not to have to pay those prices. But it's changing, isn't it? London's got bigger and bigger. It's grown.
Yes.
More and more each year, you know?
Yes, that's very true.
Well, it's been fascinating chatting to you, and I really appreciate you coming in and kind of sharing with us. I suppose before I say goodbye, I'd like to ask for a tip from you as a gentleman who's been within property marketing now for so many years, to myself as a gent who likes to kind of look at property and possibly what should I look for? Is there a golden rule I should look for in a new property? Is there something I should always double check?
The location, for sure. That's what I would focus on, the location. You can always improve a property, but you can't change a location.
Great advice. Chris, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Lovely to see you.
Chris Fox there, another one of our excellent professional profiles.